Hi, I'm Patrick Page. I play Hades in Hadestown. I don't really have a mishap in Hadestown that I can think of. I'll tell you instead about a cherished moment. We opened Hadestown at the National Theatre in London. It has dozens of dressing rooms, and all of the dressing rooms surround this quad in the center of the theater. And there are many shows on different stages in the building of the National at once. And whenever one of the shows opens, all of the windows which face the quad, all of the actors from those other shows come to the windows and bang on the windows. So you hear this thunder, and then you go look out your dressing room window, and all around on 4 or 5 levels going up are actors banging on the windows. It was one of the most thrilling things that's ever happened in my life. SpiderMan. Have you heard of it? There's so many things, right? And some of them are serious. Some of them are real serious. And some of them are funny. You know, we had a long preview period, over 6 months of previews. And we kept putting off the opening. And finally, the critics got tired of this. And they decided we're going to come anyway. Ben Brantley from the New York Times was in the audience. I didn't know that for sure. We got to the climactic battle at the end of the show. Just about, I rise on a piano and I'm playing this piano. Peter Parker flies in. We confront each other. For the first time, the Green Goblin and Spider-Man are about to go at it. And we hear over the speakers in the theater the voice of our stage manager saying, "And hold. We're going to hold here, ladies and gentlemen. There's a technical difficulty." So Reeve and I just have to begin improvising. So he goes over to the piano where I had a glass of champagne. And he picked up the champagne, and in order to try to keep from having to ad-lib too much, he starts drinking the champagne. So I said to him, hey there, boy, be careful with that champagne. You know, you're going to be flying in a minute. And I hear they dropped a few. The house came down. It was the biggest roar of laughter. But wouldn't you know it, the first 2 paragraphs of Ben Brantley's review the next day were about that moment. Casa Valentina is a cherished memory for me. It was important for me first to be able to learn literally to walk in Valentina's shoes, and then figuratively as well. So I learned how to walk in them in the rehearsal room at Manhattan Theatre Club. And then I thought I've got to take her out onto the street, because if I don't, I'm never going to know what this is like. And so I began to go out dressed as Val. And most New Yorkers wouldn't give me a second look. But there were a few tourists who see this 6 foot and with heels 6'3" or 6'4" woman, broad-shouldered woman walking down the street in a pink dress, who would give me looks. And it gave me an understanding of what it was to feel out of place and other, and how to stand tall and own myself. Hunchback of Notre Dame, again, I have to tell you, is a cherished memory. I grew up as a person who was afraid to sing, because when I was a little boy, I auditioned for a play, musical, my first musical, and I thought I was terrified to sing this song. And I did, and the director, who happened to be my dad, I didn't get the part, and he came to me afterwards and said, "Patrick, you were the best actor, but your singing wasn't really up to what the other boy did." So he got that part. And what happened? This isn't to blame my dad, who was extraordinarily supportive, but what happened is I stopped singing, and I didn't think I could. In Hunchback of Notre Dame, to be standing center stage, singing this magnificent song written by Stephen Schwartz and Alan Menken, with a 50-person choir behind me, supporting me, and all of my castmates on the side also singing, supporting me in Latin. That was, well, it was like dying and going to heaven, which is weird for a song called Hellfire. Beauty and the Beast is one of my most cherished memories, because that's where I met my wife, Paige Davis. The mishap I remember on that show, I did the show for a long time, both on tour and on Broadway. And when we were on tour in Denver, Colorado, we went to a place I had never been to before, called the Cheesecake Factory. I don't think we have them in New York, but they have them out there in the world. And at the Cheesecake Factory, they bring you a plate of food that is enough to feed a family of 8. Now, the costume for Lumiere is such that it's a bodysuit, which is very tight to your body. And then you have these 2 torches, which are on your hands. What a lot of people don't know about those torches is that there's a brace here on your arm, and you have to be strapped into it. There are hoses that go to your back. So once you're into it, you're in it. There's no way out. I'd eaten at the Cheesecake Factory, and I began to have some, shall we say, stomach and intestinal difficulty during the show. And I said to Jeff Brooks, I'm not gonna make it. I don't think I'm gonna make it. And he said to me, what do you mean you don't think you're going to make it? I don't think I'm gonna make it. And I'm strapped into this thing, right? And I had said to my dresser, extraordinary man named Jack McGroder, I'd said, Jack, before we go on to the next scene, before I do Be Our Guest, I have to go to the bathroom. Or you're gonna have to stop the show. I got off stage and there was a team of 6 people who tore me out of this thing. The pyrotechnician had to be there to take those off of me because you have to have a pyrotechnician, costumer, wigs, sound, because I had to get out of everything. The mic goes up through my wig, so the wig had to come off. The mic belt had to come off, everything. I dashed to the restroom, and I did get back on and do Be Our Guest, Be Our Guest. So, crisis averted, but quite the mishap. The Scar dressing room was at that time on the 4th or 5th floor of the New Amsterdam Theater. There were no bathrooms on that floor. The only bathroom was inside my dressing room. The previous actor, because he was really nice, had allowed anyone who wanted to come into his dressing room and use the bathroom. For a number of reasons, I didn't want that to happen. Somebody, we're never sure who, took this the wrong way and decided to find a way in, and did in fact find a way into my bathroom while I was on stage many different times, and would let me know it by leaving the toilet unflushed. So I had the lock on my dressing room door changed. And whoever this wasn't very happy about that. So they jimmied the lock. Now, here's what you have to know about this. I don't like to spend any time in the wings. I like to time it so I walk directly from my dressing room down the stairs, whatever it is, and onto the stage, almost without a stop. And I've always been able to do this, and I've never missed an entrance. It energizes me. So I'm sitting there in my dressing room. I hear the time that I need to go downstairs. I go to open the door, it's locked. I cannot get out, and during this time I hear my cue getting closer and closer and closer. And then I hear my cue. And then I hear the orchestra vamping over and over and over, and then I hear the stage manager coming on the speakers to the audience and saying, ladies and gentlemen, we have a technical difficulty. We're going to be stopping the show for a moment. My phone rings. It's our stage manager, the incredible Kat Purvis, one of the great stage managers of all time, who would stay calm in a nuclear war. And she says in a very calm voice, Patrick, are you okay? I said, yes, I'm okay. Are you locked in your dressing room? It's like, Kat, how did you know? They sent somebody up to get me out. They couldn't open the door. They had to eventually go get the engineer of the building. It took about a half hour while the audience waited. They got me out of the room. We began again the second act. When I auditioned for that show, I was pretty certain that they wanted someone else. But I loved this character. I'd loved it since I was a boy. I was offered the role, but then I found out I had to be approved by the estate of Dr. Seuss. So I was doing The Lion King at the time, and they flew a representative of the estate who was a very, very old man, a lawyer, and I don't remember his name because in my mind I always just called him the Lorax. He came to see The Lion King to see if I would be a suitable Grinch. And at the end of the show, I got this knock on my door. Door opens, Lorax comes in. And he shook my hand and he said, thank you for your performance, and he left. And I had expected him to throw his arms around me and say, thank God we found our Grinch. So I'm sitting there taking off my Lion King makeup and he's gone. And I'm thinking, what have I done? I didn't tell him what this means to me. I ran out of the theater and I go down into Times Square. By that time we were at the Minskoff Theater, so you're right in the heart of Times Square there, finding this one old man there is gonna be like finding a needle in a haystack. But I'm looking and looking and looking, and I'm running around, and eventually I find him. And I said to him, listen, please excuse me if I'm out of line, but I just wanted to tell you one thing. I know that you can find somebody who can sell more tickets than me. I know that you can find somebody that will allow you to raise more money from your investors, but I promise you, if you trust me with this role, you will never find anybody who will protect and cherish this material like I will. Thank you very much, goodbye. I got on the subway and my phone rang and it was our director, and he said, did you talk to that guy? What did you say? Did you beg for the role? And I thought, oh my God, I begged for a role. This is the one thing they tell you to never, ever, ever do, right? Just leave your work. Leave it alone. I said, yeah, Matt, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I did. He said, well, whatever you said, you got the part.